Yeah, there are studies that show that IQ seems to stay the same throughout our lives. However, emotional intelligence can be improved. It's a learned skill. It can improve your career, your business, your personal relationships, your leadership skills, and your success in general. The problem is that people often focus on IQ and not emotional intelligence, not knowing how critical emotional intelligence is to your success in life.
This is the Middle-Aged and Miserable podcast.
Yes, and please subscribe to us so you never miss another episode. And if you feel so inclined, please leave us a nicely worded review so we can reach more people with this content.
Excellent. So today we're going to talk about emotional intelligence.
All right.
And we're going to talk about why having emotional intelligence is important in life and how it can elevate your career success, your business success, and just generally elevate the relationships that you've got professionally and personally as well. And how it can make you a higher performer overall. But even better than that, we're going to explain how you can improve your emotional intelligence.
Okay.
So just to level set, emotional intelligence, it's also known as EQ. And whereas we all talk about IQ stands for intelligence quotient, EQ stands for emotional quotient. So you've got a really good definition of what this is all about.
Yeah, emotional intelligence is almost like it's two parts. Part one is the ability to understand, use, and manage your own emotions. Mm-hmm. And part two is the ability to recognize, understand, and influence the emotions of others.
Yeah. So why is that important then?
Well, I mean, it's important to manage your own emotions because imagine if you're at work and you're in a state of high emotion a lot. If you get angry or frustrated, then that means by definition that you're in states of high emotion. Then you're not thinking logically and you're sort of thinking in a low IQ way.
Yeah.
Likewise, if you're not very aware of other people's emotions, and say if you're in sales and you're trying to make a sale and you don't notice a change in the emotions of that potential client, if they suddenly get annoyed or defensive, if you're oblivious to that, you could lose the sale. So really, you need to be able to read the room.
Yeah. If only everybody could do that, eh?
Yeah.
Again, the good news is you can change it and you can improve it.
Yeah, there are studies that show that IQ seems to stay the same throughout our lives. However, emotional intelligence can be improved. It's a learned skill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do wonder whether my IQ is diminishing over
Mine
time.
is. Mine definitely is.
Yeah. So you get into why it's important and what are the benefits of having high EQ.
Okay, so when you learn how to better manage your own emotions, which is self-awareness, and understand the emotions of others, which is social awareness, it can improve your career, your business, your personal relationships, your leadership skills, and your success in general. The problem is that people often focus on IQ and not emotional intelligence, not knowing how critical emotional intelligence is to your success in life.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I know quite a few people. I've been in meetings with people very high in the IQ state, not so much in the EQ.
Me too.
You don't get on in life.
It's difficult to work with people like that.
It is.
And so also there are studies that show that improving your EQ can make you a better performer. John Burkoff talks about this. He says that in studies, 90% of top performers all have high EQs. And there's another study that says your EQ is responsible for around 58% of your job performance.
Wow.
So the bottom line is if you can control your emotions and read the emotions of others, then your performance will go up.
Yeah. It's all about people.
Yeah. And it is a side note, Pat.
Go on then.
Like a leader, like someone, if you've got a boss or a leader, say your boss, and they fly off the handle all the time. They get angry all the time.
Really?
Do you think that screams good leadership?
No, it doesn't. It screams somebody that's not in control.
Yeah.
As a leader, you need to be in control. You need to be inspirational. You need to effectively communicate the plan, the direction that you want people to go into, and basically getting angry and showing you are exasperated and frustrated is not going to motivate the people in your team at all. And whether you're a leader professionally or a parent, for example, you your behavior, your emotion has a measurable impact on the emotions of those in your team, whether it's good or whether it's bad or not. So the bottom line is, if you can control your emotions and, more importantly, read the emotions of others, you're going to succeed.
Yeah, I just thought of another side benefit. You can use your emotional intelligence as well to improve your performance by not actually doing work yourself. Because we were talking about this the other day.
A lot, don't we? Yeah.
Like, you don't need to know everything. You can create a network of people using your emotional intelligence, and they can help you do the things you need to do. I mean, that's what we do, right? We do get to know people, and then they do things for us, and we do things for them.
But that's what networking is all about, isn't it, really? You network with people that you like, but also that they like you. And if you can get people to like you, they want to help you. And we've built relationships in real estate that are successful professional relationships that have come about from us fostering the trust that we have in each other through building those relationships, through having emotional intelligence. And also, you get remembered. If people like you, people remember you. And at the end of the day, if you're not liked, generally, if you're not a likable person, you're never going to succeed in business at all.
Yeah, that's true.
So what are other benefits of improving?
Well, here's a random a benefit of emotional intelligence. If you're in sales, then people buy due to emotion. So your job if you're in sales is to inspire your clients to see something differently or make a different decision and ultimately buy what you're selling. And in sales, there's 3 levels. There's the features, the benefits, and the emotional benefit.
Right.
And a mistake is to dwell on the features, because the customer doesn't care about what the thing does, the features of it. What the customer cares about is the benefits, so they can see how the product can help them. But what they really care about is the emotional benefit. You know, you say something like, "What all of this? What it really means is you're going to feel this way when you have this product, or this is going to remove the stress in your life in this area because of this, or this is going to free time in your oppressive schedule because you bought this." Because this is what drives people. It's the emotional benefit, and developing your emotional intelligence is beneficial to you in the sales and business realm.
Yeah. We talked about this the other day. We saw that in adverts on the TV and they always seem to end with, "This is how it's going to make you feel."
Yeah.
And then you pointed that out the other day, and that's part of that technique.
Yeah.
There's I read somewhere there's the Americans, different cultures do it differently. And often Americans will tend to get the deal done and then go out and socialize with the clients afterwards and get to know them. Whereas I got a good example, and the Japanese do it differently. They do it the opposite. They'll carve out the relationship first. They'll try and establish trust and look after their clients. And then at the end, they will get the deal done, or they will start talking business and stuff. And I was on business in Japan, and I came away from that thinking I was treated wonderfully. The way they even took me up Mount Fuji.
Wow.
on some downtime one of the days. I was so well looked after. And that was a stark contrast to how I've seen business conducted in other different countries as well. You've got to build that rapport with whether it's a client, whether it's somebody, whoever it is you want to do business with in general. There has to be a rapport on an emotional level before you start engaging in these long-term professional relationships.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how to improve it to those of us that maybe could do with improving it.
Yeah. Okay. So remember, as we said, there's 2 parts to it. So there's managing your own emotions, which is self-awareness, and there's understanding the emotions of others, which is social awareness. So if you're talking your own emotions, then, you know, in the professional realm, we agreed that it's not great yelling and getting angry. So, I mean, some tips could be, if you do get frustrated or angry, first thing to do is notice it and label it.
Right.
And, you know, give yourself some grace. It happens. You know, it's part of life.
Yeah.
The
we
world
all get angry.
Well, negative emotion. You wouldn't be human if you didn't have emotions, positive or negative. So negative emotions such as frustration or even anger, that's completely normal.
So you notice it, you acknowledge it, and then you're going to try and change it. There are quite a lot of ways you can do that, and sometimes in the moment you can just breathe, just take some deep breaths and calm yourself down if you recognize it's happening. Sometimes you'll need to go a little step further, which is not always feasible depending on the situation. If you're actually with somebody, taking a walk, taking a complete break. We call this like a pattern interrupt from the emotion as it's building. Go and do a workout. That's another good one. And some of us, myself included, have a really hard time of if the emotional state is elevated enough that I can't get out of it. I have to sleep on it. I can't get out of it sometimes.
Yeah, you struggle with it.
Yeah, I do. I remember getting into it with my wife in front of her parents one time, and I knew I was angry, and I can't remember why, and I had to go to bed, and I went down. I went to bed, and I came downstairs the next day, and they were all up, and I felt remorseful, and I apologized for it because I was a completely different person. That's how I managed it, just by going to bed, which is not ideal, really.
Yeah.
But I get annoyed when I'm cooking as well sometimes if it doesn't.
Yeah,
work.
you're a great cook, and it's very, very rare. But if it goes wrong, which it never happens, but if it does, you're in a bad mood.
I can't change
Can't
it.
get out of it.
It's bigger than me.
All right, so that was managing our own emotions, or not managing our own emotions.
It's hard. It's you've got to recognize it's hard.
Yeah,
it is hard to
I'm
manage.
not saying in any way that it's easy.
Right.
But how about becoming aware and reading other people's emotions?
Right.
How to become socially aware.
How to read the room, right?
Yeah, how to read the room. So we believe, Pat, don't we, that emotional intelligence is strongly linked to three things. It's being curious.
Yeah.
It's building rapport, which we talked about. But ultimately, it's seeing a situation from the other person's perspective.
Yeah.
And
You're really good at that.
yeah. So these three things are huge in emotional intelligence. So let's start with curiosity, or rather a lack of curiosity. So here's an example. I've got a buddy. He was at work, and a person came into his workspace and talked for an hour. Not to him. He talked about himself for an hour. And so my buddy was sitting there, and this guy was there, and he talked for an hour about his life. And I believe this is a low emotional intelligence move.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can prove it because I asked my buddy, did he, at any time in the hour, did he ask you any questions? And he said no. And I just believe that you've got to be curious. You can't just talk and ask no questions, because you've essentially not shown any interest in the other person at that point.
It's kind of selfish as well, in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, and so let's do what we said. Let's look at the situation from the other person's perspective. How's that person going to feel when you've spoken for an hour, and they're going to feel like you don't care about them because they haven't asked about you?
Right.
And how are they going to feel about another conversation like that the next day? Are they going to think, I can't wait for him to come over
Dave
and talk
to
for an
come
hour?
back over again.
Yeah, let's call him Dave. I can't wait for Dave to come back over and talk about himself for an hour.
Yeah, it's like whether it be a phone call for somebody in the professional environment, whether it's a sales call or not, and if you were to just get on the phone and just talk about yourself for 30 minutes without asking the client any questions at all about what problems they have that you could solve with whatever you're selling them, and you're not curious and you're not asking how they would feel, it's never going to work out, is it really? They're not going to feel compelled to buy or to help you out, because you've not inquired at all about what their pain points may be.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to work.
No, so that's curiosity, but along with curiosity, the other key factors of high emotional intelligence are building rapport, and like we mentioned, seeing a situation from the other person's point of view. I got an example on this. I've done this. So I called someone at work, and I'd never met them before, but I needed something from them. So first thing I did was I thought about it from their point of view. They don't know who I am. I know they're busy, and I'm disturbing their day.
Right.
So, I need this info from them.
Right.
So what I did, I phoned up and I tried to build rapport. I tried to find a common experience. At the time there were layoffs. I'm like, oh, how's the layoffs going in your area? And we just sort of chatted about that briefly.
Right.
You know, we just got that common thing. And or sometimes I'll call someone and I'll be like, oh, are you in that area? Because I know someone that works there. Do you know Dave who works there? And then you can get maybe some common ground there.
Create a connection.
Yeah, and once I called someone out of the blue, never met them before, and I said, how you doing? And he said, I'm doing great. I'm leaving for San Diego on vacation tomorrow night.
All right.
And so we spoke about San Diego for a bit. And then after that, I asked the business piece, got that done. I said, look, really sorry. I know this is probably the last thing you need right now. Seeing the situation from their point of view, I know you're busy and this is the last situation you'd ever want right now, but could you just help me out with this, and this? And then got the business bit done. Yeah. And then here's a tip. Do the callback at the end. Callback is something in comedy where we call back to something that's that. And at the end, you're just like, thanks for helping me with that. And hey, listen, have a great time in San Diego. Hope you enjoy the Gaslight District or whatever, and have a well-earned rest. Thank you so much. And that link back, it just makes for a satisfying interaction, you know? And I believe that person's more likely going to deal with you again, and you're going to create a good relationship with them because of those high EQ moves you've done.
Yeah. Well, you did all. The fact that you called him and not sent an email says it all. I mean, that's huge in terms of getting what you want as well, because you actually used your voice instead of your words. Emails are abrupt, and I get so many emails from people asking me stuff, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we're all busy, and some of them I'm like are with an air of entitlement to them. And it's like, and I immediately want to just push back from that, because there's no emotion there. They clearly haven't put themselves in my shoes to help to get what they want. And a text is even worse. I'm saying this to my kids all the time. Text communication. It's devoid of body language. It's devoid of inflection, and they're always interpreted differently. The number of times I said my kids have got. They have a problem with their friend, and they say, well, I talked to them, and then this, like, they didn't talk. They exchanged texts. Yeah. And it always ends up in a furthering of the issue, and it doesn't help things at all. And there's a rule, actually. I read this. It's called the 7-38-55 rule of effective communication. And I should tell this to the kids as well. 7% of communication is done through verbal communication, whether it's the words you say or the words you write, for example, in an email. Just 7% of the communication. The non-verbal content of that communication are the tone of voice, the inflection. That is 38%. 55% of communication is body language. So if you're not like you did, you went to this guy and well, actually you picked up the phone. So you'd lost 55%. But to go and introduce yourself to somebody, face-to-face conversations, which is what we do when we're doing business. We'll go and grab a coffee with somebody. The 55% is body language.
Yeah, I believe
it's huge.
Yeah, I got a tip, an emotional intelligence tip. So say if you're in work or in business and you've got a problem and we're trying to fix it, you and me, and we've got different ideas, it can get, like if you dig in on your idea and I dig on my idea, it can get to revert into feeling like you're feeling attacked, and you can get territorial.
All the time, yeah.
And then you've got this sort of divide between you and you're not really getting anywhere. You get
into sensitive.
And you get into a heightened emotional state, and you're not really thinking logically at that point. And As a side note, it's been proved that when we're task focused like that, when you're trying to solve a problem and you're task focused, the part of the brain that allows you to be socially aware and manage your relationship actually shuts down.
Really?
Yeah. So you're just thinking about the task and not really caring about getting on with people. So anyway, back to the story. So we've got two different ideas. We're trying to solve a problem, but we might feel attacked or dominated. So you can, in this situation, you're not going to get a good result. So what you can do is stop and reconnect. Yeah. You can just sort of take a step back and just say, Pat, what's our common purpose here? You know, we've got this problem. Right. You've got your idea. I've got my.
It's a good level set. That,
yeah, we both want to find the easiest solution for everybody in terms of cost or whatever it is that we're trying to solve. And it's a good idea to take that step back to reconnect both of you with that shared purpose.
Yeah, because you can both get spun up.
Yeah.
very easily. People are sensitive. People are. I get this at home, and it's okay. It's not the professional world, but it's you've established a relationship. So say I'm getting into it with the wife, and we believe it or not, we occasionally disagree on things.
Do you?
Usually about the kids or the dog, and she'll tell me something, and she's trying to make a point. And I'll try and see it from perhaps another way, or I'll try and see it from my perspective. And immediately she'll get defensive because she's feeling attacked. And we both get spun up as well. And it takes one of us to do exactly that, to find this common ground. And often it's the case of, look, we've been married 25 years and we want to be married at least another 25 years and then some. So This is a minor thing. This isn't important for us to kind of get spun up and hate each other for temporarily. Maybe I'll have to just go to bed and sleep on it.
Yeah, I was going to say, sleep it off.
So yeah, that common ground. There's always common ground you can find between the two people.
Yeah, it's
it's
reconnecting with the big picture.
Yeah.
In that
definitely.
case, it's the marriage.
All right. All right, so we talked a lot. Let's summarize.
Let's summarize the episode. So we talked about the definition of emotional intelligence. So first part is to the ability to understand and manage your own emotions. And the second part is to the ability to recognize, understand, and influence the emotions of others.
Yeah. And unlike IQ, the emotional intelligence can be improved. Unlike my IQ, it can be improved, and it's a learned skill, and it can improve your career. It'll improve your business, your personal relationships, your leadership skills, and just generally your success as a whole.
Yeah. And if you want to improve your emotional intelligence, you must be curious, you must build rapport, and you must strive to see every situation from the other person's perspective.
Love it.
Okay, Pat.
Okay,
Time
Chris.
for the after show.
That's now the after show. Everything's done.
Yeah. So let's talk about differences between Brits and Americans again.
I got one.
Go on.
I got good. Brits never complain about stuff in restaurants. Well,
We do.
okay. Well, okay. Let me clarify. We complain incessantly to each other, or when we're at the table.
Yeah.
And we'll say, "Oh, this is food's cold," or "I didn't like this," and it is too spicy. Well,
Hold on. Let me stop you there. I'm the server.
okay. Yeah. Okay. So
Okay.
I've been complaining.
Yeah,
complaining,
yeah.
and then.
Hello, sir. How was your steak?
Oh, it was lovely. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
It's so British.
But we do that though. We do that, and the number of times that we say, "Oh, I wish I had the guts to actually say what I really meant."
We never do.
What we never do.
Brits are big on this, complaining but saying everything's fine.
We just don't want to. We don't want to create a fuss. Although I must admit, my dad has become a little bit that way inclined. From an educational point of view, he'll want to point out what's wrong with it sometimes. But for the most part, myself, especially me, and I just don't want to create a fuss, and nobody. Oh yeah, it's lovely, thank you.
We all do that, and it's like this is where they got Eric Idle in the movie European Vacation, where Chevy Chase. It's an older movie, but Chevy Chase. Everyone's middle-aged and miserable, so most people have heard of it. Chevy Chase runs him over. He's on a bike, and he's in London, and he runs over Eric Idle on a bike. He's like, "Oh, it's okay. It's
bleeding everywhere.
Just a scratch." Holds up his arm. He's got blood cut. It's just a scratch. That's British.
I don't want to make a fuss. I don't want to create a fuss.
Yeah. Whereas I think Americans, they're more likely to. They're going to speak up if they don't like something. They're going to say something. Whereas
I think so. Yeah.
We're going to say it, but not say it. If you know what I mean.
Tipping.
Another
Speaking
thing.
of restaurants.
Yeah, speaking of restaurants, we don't tip.
No.
And it's not because we're tight. It's just not. It's just not.
what we do.
It's not the done thing, is it?
No. It's not been part of our culture, really. I guess you'll throw you buy the barman a pint or something like that. We used to do that, didn't we?
Yeah, you never gave money to a barman. I don't even know if you buy people pints now, but it used to be you'd buy the barman a drink when we were there.
Yeah, I would like give a pound, have one for yourself, mate, or something.
Yeah,
like
it was
that.
like I'll have 2 beers and one for yourself. It was never give them money.
Yeah.
Taxi driver, I would give them a bit.
Yeah, I guess we tip taxi.
Maybe in a
drivers.
restaurant, you leave a couple of quid.
Yeah, but it's not a calculation, is it?
No, it's not a percentage of the
15%,
order.
Yeah, like it is over here. It's
Yeah, you get in America and everything everything's a tip. Like you go you order a takeout and go and pick it up, and it's got the tip thing on the screen.
They do that now with those new machines.
Yeah,
they'll say, what percentage tip do you want? And it starts at 18%.
It didn't used to. Pretty sure it used to start about 8%, but it's suddenly moved up. No, and then you buy a drip coffee and it's like 18%. There's a suggestion for your tip.
And all they've done is that.
Yeah.
But I speaking of tipping, this is how I feel. I don't know about you, but being the Brit, the part of the reason that I still tip, it's the culture here, but I'm doing it partly because I don't want them to think badly of me, and I don't want to create a fuss. It's not like, oh yeah, here's a good tip, here's what you deserve, even if it's like 18% or whatever, or 20%. I'm doing it because I don't want to make a fuss, and I don't want them to feel bad about me.
I think you just summarised Brits. We don't want to make a fuss, whether we're complaining in a restaurant or tipping for a drip coffee. We don't want to make a fuss, do we?
I don't know if that helps us or hinders us in life.
Probably hinders.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you heard, please like and subscribe so you never miss another episode. Also, check out our social media content for more ways to avoid being middle-aged and miserable.